There are five. There. Okay, got
Do you want me to stop the recording?
No, it's okay. We can
Okay.
share it with everybody. So, hi everybody. Hannah just asked about this group, so I want to share a little bit about us and then a little bit about you, of course. Kimmy kind of approached Abby and I at a conference and was like, I really would like to start a group of women and like moms specifically. And we pulled in Beth and then we pulled in Kirsten Paris.
Okay.
So there's five of us founding members. And it's really funny because we all have two kids under 5 years old. So it's just like
I can't be in the club. This is awesome.
You're in the club. And we just really want to serve, kind of like your Empower thing that you have going on. It's like we just want to serve other women, specifically moms, because we're all just trying to get through and be successful realtors. So that's where we're at, and it's a growing thing. And once a week, we each have a week. And Tuesday we try to bring in a speaker. So this week is my week, and that's why I asked for you, because I was like, I really want to hear Hannah talk. And Hannah is just an amazing person. I think a lot of you do know her, and I just love everything you say and all your quotes and all the books you've read and all the different self-help that I know there are quotes that have helped, like that. I know I've heard that monk thing from you that you shared today, and it's so
well, nothing I say is original. It's all stolen from someone else.
Yeah, but that's wonderful. I love it. So I'm just going to let Hannah speak. She's a really awesome topic for us, so we'll let her go at it.
Awesome. Yeah. And I want it to be collaborative. So when you reached out and asked me to speak, I was like, what am I going to speak about? And I was thinking about the community we've built and the community you all are building. And a lot of you are part of this community, this Empower community here that we've created. So through that, I was thinking about, like, you can build a wall or you can build an empire. Both of them start with one brick. And so as I started to think through that, I'm like, I want to build an empire, and that I am building an empire through other people and creating that community. And you guys are doing the exact same thing. There are also people in our industry that are building walls. And maybe that's because that is what makes them comfortable. But I think especially as moms, we find a lot of strength in community. And so I'm here, I want to build an empire with other people. And this is what you guys are doing in this space. So as I continue to dig into that idea, I just kept going back to brick by brick, because I think we also can get really overwhelmed with everything we need to do, especially as a mom, a woman in real estate, a business owner. I need to do this. I need to do that. I just went to the beach with my daughter for two whole days, right? And I found myself there being like, oh, I need to go on a run, but I don't want to leave my daughter alone. Not alone, God, with my sister. But I was guilty for thinking about going on a run. Like, that's crazy. I didn't go on a run, actually, now that I say that out loud. But I do think there's so much that we as women struggle together, and we can share successes together. And that's where that community becomes important. And so thinking about brick by brick and wanting to build an empire, I wanted to start this conversation simply by going back to the basics and recognizing something that we each appreciate. And I do want you guys to speak up. So I want you to consider, because I know appreciation elevates us. So consider a person, place, or a thing that you appreciate, or all three, whatever. But when I looked at that list, I think it's really easy to be like, oh, I almost said my husband, but I don't always appreciate him. Actually, in this moment, I do. But think of who that person is. And I bet for some of you, the person you appreciate most right now is in this group, because you're probably getting vulnerable with each other. You're connecting with each other. I heard Abby mention a client. You knew the client. Like, you guys are sharing your worlds. And I think that's so important. So Abby, I said your name. What's a person, place, or thing that you find you appreciate right now today?
Yeah, so I had a tough 2022, which everyone on this call knows. And so my space that I most appreciate right now is, it's a little bit of a concept, but it's when I'm running. It's like that headspace I can go to and feel what I need to feel, whether it's think through issues with work, think through things with losing my dad, think through kids, husband, but also feel like I'm moving forward because I'm changing my physicality and my literal location at that time.
Yeah, I think so many of us are like, oh, I'm going to work out to get fit. I'm now in a space and an age in my life where, yeah, I want to be fit, but it's for my mind. I make time to run because I need the mindset shift, usually, like where I am caught up in anxiety or some stress of whatever. But I love that you recognize like that's the space for you right now. And you know how to create it. You know, okay, guys, I need to put my running shoes on. I think that's awesome. Who wants to go next? Kimmy? Kimmy appreciates Charleston.
Sure. Yeah, this sunny weather. I left when it was snowing. I was like, this is awesome. I'm just gonna be really honest. The second you said that, I thought of Corey. Probably because you're in front of my face. But like just, and I liked Abby's definition of like almost as a concept. Like obviously I genuinely appreciate Corey. But like you said, just building this community and that each one of us is investing our time. Like Corey this week is investing her time to host our group and, you know, guide us and bring people like you to us. And I think that's incredible and incredibly, you know, warming and stuff. And also, and that's kind of where I'm going to leave it. But also, Hannah, I would, it's convenient. I would like to hear more about your story too, and how you came to be where you are. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. So Corey's my person today.
Love it. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I'll tell a little of my story here in a minute. I know Beth. I don't know Amy. Okay. Beth, why don't you go next? Person, place, or thing. Oh, you muted?
Oh, she can't
Please
talk.
don't wreck. Okay, we can go to Amy.
Hey, it's okay. It just took me a second, y'all. Okay, am I there?
Yep.
I'm driving to an appointment. Okay, so I'm grateful. I've been spending a lot of time with women in general, and I am really grateful for the community that is possible with women, and for us rediscovering our innate power, that we have to support each other and that we have to be able to rise up as a collaborative, almost like a collaborative emotion of support, that I think we forgot for a long time. Mm-hmm. And there's a rediscovering in there that's really quite beautiful. I spent Saturday with a women's group, a women's circle, and then spent Saturday afternoon or Sunday, I think it was, with in Kirtan at a place with just tons of women, and it was so beautiful. And now we're kind of doing that with ourselves, and I'm grateful for all the people in this group that put the time and effort and energy and imagination and drive into making sure that we're supported. I think it's incredible. So I'm learning a lot. I didn't have a lot of women friends growing up. I was kind of a tomboy. I thought boys were more interesting and less dramatic and and women didn't have a lot to offer, but I was wrong. So this is a beautiful time in life for me.
I love it. I love the energy in y'all's answers. Like it shifted on Zoom when you guys started talking. So thank you. Thank you. All right, let's see. Let's go with Amy. Amy, a person, place, or thing that you appreciate today.
Okay. I would back up everything that everybody said, but particularly today for me, since my husband's had COVID for the last 10 days, I am really looking forward to getting back into my own bed. I've been sleeping in the lower level. I have a lovely home and the lower level is lovely and the guest room is just fine. But I'm hopefully going to particularly appreciate my bed tonight. But I've been out all morning. I just got home, so I don't know if that's going to happen today or tomorrow.
Love it. It's the little things though, right?
It's the little things. Absolutely.
It is. All right. Zandy.
Hello. Yeah, sorry, I was a little bit late. It's been a crazy day, but I am feeling particularly appreciative of my spouse lately, because we're going through a lot of changes. Like, I don't know if everybody knows, but I'm having a baby due in August. So
Is this your first?
Yeah, this is my first my first pregnancy. We're also foster parents.
Oh.
This is our first baby that I will have. So yeah, the last couple months have been really rough, not feeling so great. And it's been really nice to like come home and like dinner's ready or like, the bathroom's clean. So
Have you told him that?
yeah. I was just saying it last night because we were joking how like I don't think that they've ever cleaned the shower since we've been together in like 6 years. And another day they cleaned the shower and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe the first
Positive
one. I'm like,
reinforcement.
like, you never do that. They're like, that's because you do it.
Yep.
So anyway, yeah, I'm feeling very appreciative. And also, they've been really supportive of me, like getting into real estate, you really have to take the leap. And it's been nice to have the support of my spouse and my family to take that leap finally.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, good. All right. Last but not least, Kristen, you must have bolted out of here.
I did.
Like a rocket ship. Yeah.
I did. I told Corey I'm gonna like jet home so I can hop on like as soon as I get home. So yeah, I'm I'm grateful for lots of things, but my dad is fighting leukemia, and this was a like real kind of sudden thing in December. And so I don't know, I'm just super grateful for both my parents that they're they're even in the midst of this battle still like incredibly supportive and care about what's happening in my life, and are staying current with all my like dealings and drama with clients. And so I'm just grateful for them. And got to talk to them on the way home, or on the way back to my house, so they're fresh on my mind.
That's so cool. And you're probably helping your dad by sharing all that with him. Like he gets to be distracted by that and to care so deeply about what you're doing and your growth. Like, I think that's great.
Yeah. And he's just he's got his hands in so many different things in people's lives. So I think that's a big help too, as he's going through this.
Good. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for sharing. Okay. So what we'll do, I do want to talk about just being purposeful about the life we want to design for ourselves. And that's kind of the meat of what I wanted to get into today. But Kimmy, to answer your question, I was just in a nutshell, I was in fitness apparel for 11 years. And then actually Peloton, I was designing clothes for Peloton for a while, right when they first started. That was probably like 7 years ago, but had really hit my ceiling in that industry and didn't know it. I didn't know to think bigger, or that if I thought bigger, that was even possible. And so I now have people in my world that are teaching me like, actually, you are enough. Actually, you can have a bigger life. You can dream whatever you want and then go for it. But I think before I thought, oh, my bills are paid. I have health insurance. My life is good. And no fault of my parents. They provided a great life for us as well. But I just didn't know how big my world could be. And it's not where I want it to be. I still want more, which I think is exciting. And I suspect that's how all of you are. But I was all over the place with this fitness apparel design company because they were based out of New York and had just recently gotten married. So like 7 or 8 years ago, and decided I did not want to fly as much as I was. And so I ended up taking a job as a manager at Lululemon in Biltmore Village. And I did have amazing health insurance, and that's about it. I made no money because I spent it all, because as a manager, I got 70% off. So I didn't make much money, but I could buy a lot. So I was like living my best life at Lululemon. And then my business partner now, Jeff Stewart, he had a position open as an admin on his real estate team. And I applied for it because I was like, oh, maybe I should do something else so I don't have to work nights and weekends. And he was like, yeah, you're not the right fit. I'll be in touch if another opportunity comes about. And I was like, yeah, I heard that before. So thankfully, like a year later, he had taken the spot as CEO for our local Keller Williams franchise. And he was like, hey, I actually do need an admin. Do you want to talk to me about this? And at that point, I was like, I'm good. I'm at Lulu. I'm not really interested. But he kind of stuck with it, or very much stuck with it. And we had 8 interviews and I came on as his assistant. So I didn't have a real estate license. I had not done real estate, and quite frankly, hadn't even bought or sold, because when I got married, my husband had a house. So I knew nothing. And again, that's really just like unbeknownst to me, I was putting myself in an environment of support. And that's what you all have created here. And that's why I'm so passionate about this, because I wouldn't have the growth that I have if it wasn't for other people that saw my potential, because I did not see it. I'm like, life's fine. So then I started working with Jeff, and fast forward 5 years, well, 2 years ago. So fast forward 3 years, he stepped into an ownership role, and then I was promoted to CEO. So I've been in that position for 2 years, and it's been amazing. And I love where my life is right now. But every day still I wake up and I'm like, what am I doing? Like this, there's this concept of imposter syndrome, which you guys probably have heard. Like, and you probably feel it with clients. Like, this is a massive transaction and you're handling it. And maybe you got your license 2 years ago or a month ago. It's a big deal. And so I find myself often being like, well, why me? And I'm working to shift that mindset to why not me? Like, I have enough within me to be whoever I want to be, but I have to believe it. And I love that I have an environment around me of people that do also believe it. But hearing you guys, like the vulnerability and the just openness that you have with each other, like keep that up, because that's why the women's groups have worked for me, because people say, hey, you can do this, because I don't always think that I can. And so I'm in a space now where I'm trying to remind myself, why not me? And stop asking for permission. Just freaking go for it. Like, yes, I may fail. Yeah, I will fail, and I may not fail. But I spent so much time early on getting ready to get ready. Like, I wanted everything to be perfect. I needed all the documents and everything had to be in order, when in fact, I just needed to go for it. But the getting in order was easy. The going for it was hard. So I stayed in that easy space. And so again, I think it goes back to like, who's holding you accountable? Who's pushing you? I don't want to be CEO at Keller Williams forever. In fact, I don't probably want to have that job in 3 to 5 years. I love it right now. And I've told people that, like, this is part of my journey. And I'm so grateful for the doors that have opened through that, and the people that I've been able to impact, and the people that have impacted me. And I want to be bigger. I do want more. I want to create bigger impact. And Corey, like, we were at lunch recently and she's like, what are your goals? And it made me realize nobody, like, often people don't ask me that, because I'm asking that. I want to get really specific with the people in my world and say, what is it that you want? And how can we get to it? Because like I said, I did some brainstorming before this, but a map only works if you have a starting point and an ending point. And so every time I'm in conversation with my agents, I say, where are you right now? And where do you want to go? And then we work backwards from where they want to go. So typically with agents, it's transactions or a dollar amount. But we overcomplicate it, especially as women. We overcomplicate it. I had a meeting recently with a gal, and she brought in, I kid you not, 3 folders and put it all over my desk. I'm like, what is this? Well, this is my plan. This is my GPS. This is it. I'm like, what? Like, she had spent so much time planning that she'd not taken action. And so the one action of that conversation was go home and put this on one piece of paper. Like, I think that's another thing. We kind of talked about it today. Your next best step doesn't have to be, I'm going to take over the world. It needs to be, I'm going to drink more water, or I'm going to write down one goal. And we get so caught up in the more that I think it would behoove us all, myself included, to dial it back. Hey, Gina. So that's what I wanted to step into. And I know we all know how to set goals, and we all know how to achieve goals. You wouldn't be in a space in this industry if you didn't, because it's not for the faint of heart. But again, stealing other people's content. One person I totally love is Rachel Hollis, and she wrote a book years ago called Girls Stop Apologizing. And this ties into me not asking for permission moving forward, because my word this year is unapologetic. I want to just do what I want to do and what I think is best for me and what is inevitable or hopefully best for the people in my world. And so through that, Corey asked me, what's your goal? And I told her, like, and I'd never told anybody. I said, I want to be a world impact leader. I'm like, and then I said it out loud and I was like, what does that even mean? but it scared me to say it because I'm like, shit, now I've told Corey, and what if I don't become that? But then now Corey's asked me to speak. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going to be a world impact leader, I better start speaking to some people. So here she is. So I so appreciate Corey, and I appreciate this group. I do feel out of the gates like this is a trusted a space I can be vulnerable in, even though we're on Facebook, maybe. But what I want to talk about is where you are right now and where you want to go. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Mine as a world impact leader, yeah, that's big, but I've got to start somewhere. So in mapping out my goals, I looked at where I am today and where I want to be. And then the first thing that Rachel Hollis says is she's like, make a big idea soup. And so literally just start writing down. This whole booklet is full of ideas that will help me become a world impact leader. And they might be dumb, they might be genius, but I just started writing. And don't stop yourself, just pen to paper all by yourself, just write. And then from that, do it for 10 minutes. It's not a big commitment. From that, pick 20 things that you're like, okay, this is a possibility. I could maybe do this. And in that big messy bowl of soup, there are some golden nuggets. Because I think also when we're not yet where we want to be, we think about what we don't have rather than the access that we do have. So as I started writing all of these ideas, what do I want to be? Who do I want to become? I realized like there are people in my world now that can put me in touch with a literary agent, or, you know, if I decide that's the route I want to go, or a magazine producer. Like there are already people in my world that can help me down this path. I just have to ask. And that's where it gets scary, because then I have to tell other people my dream or my goal. And then if I fail, and now I've let down 2 people. So the first thing being, where are you? And then where do you want to go? And then with that, figure out your guideposts, and you create your guideposts from your goal. So yes, I want to be a world impact leader. What would I need to do right before becoming a world impact leader? Maybe it's speak on stage with Rachel Hollis or Glennon Doyle, or, you know, just some other woman who I think highly of. Then that puts me at a level I never dreamed of. So from that guidepost, you create mile markers, and mile markers are all the how. Those are the things that we get caught up in, like, oh, I'll make a Pinterest board. No, Pinterest board is not action. That is not getting you closer to your massive goal. But it could be, type on Facebook if anyone knows Glennon Doyle. I did this. And my friend who's a yoga teacher, Beth, I heard you talk about kirtan. She's a yoga teacher in Charleston, and she's friends with Abby Wambach. She played, her wife played soccer with Abby. And I'm like, well, hi, Abby knows Glennon. Like, but again, it just, your world starts to open up when you come from that abundant mindset, rather than, oh my God, I'm just Hannah and nobody knows me. So I use myself as an example because that's all I have to share. And I'm not there yet, but I'm starting. Like I have my messy paper here. I have my bowl of soup, and I can start to pick away at what's going to get me closer to it. But through that, I have started to share. Like you gave me the courage to actually tell other people this is what I want. And so I think with like, that's where it gets hard. And I think that's where women thrive. We are able to get vulnerable, and through that vulnerability, we create connection. Like I have a few men in my world that I think they wouldn't be able to sit on here and tell you what they're not good at, because their ego wouldn't allow it. And I'm not generalizing. I just know a couple in particular that would be like, well, I've got it. Because it creates safety and security for them and the people in their world. Oh, I'm fine. But as women, when we can say, I need help, like that's massive. And Abby, I feel like you've done a good job of that lately. Like you're going through some tough shit, and you've got a tribe here supporting you because you've asked and because they care. But I'm getting off topic here. I just think there's so much value in being vulnerable, and there's a difference in being vulnerable and oversharing. Like the vulnerability I share today is because it's in relationship to what I want my life to look like and what I want to create. I'm not on here saying, oh, this, gossip or drama or whatever, but it is how I really feel. I am really scared of letting people down, and I am recovering from a lifetime of people pleasing. So I'm constantly telling other people yes, because I want them to be pleased with me. I want them to be happy. I want to show them that I care. But every time I do that, I'm taking from myself. Like I didn't think I don't have anywhere in my calendar this week where it says brainstorm. Like that would actually benefit me and everyone in my world if I just took some time to create that space, like to get really clear on what I want and the guideposts and the mile markers that it will take to get there. And that's just one goal. Like the goal could be 12 closed units this year. Then we can work backwards from what you need to do to get one closed unit per month. It's not easy, but it's simple. And we always overcomplicate it. And so I think the main thing, like with this big bowl of soup, like a great brainstorm session starts with great questions. And that first question is, what do I want to accomplish? So you can look at it in a year, you can look at it in 5 years. Like I would like to think I'll be a world impact leader in a year, but I also want to be a little bit realistic in that maybe it'll be 3 years. But what do I want to accomplish? Where am I right now? And how will I get there? And then the how is where so many of us get lost. That's where so many people stop, because the how is hard. And so by creating these marks or these guideposts and mile markers, you then have a map. And the thing that's most important, and I'm sure you've heard a million people say it, but be relentless in your pursuit towards your goal, but be flexible in the method. So maybe my mile markers are these 5 things, but I don't actually do any of them, but I still got to my guideposts. So that's fine. So give yourself some grace. And I think that I personally don't do that. Oh, I did it wrong. This is not how it's supposed to be. I failed. No, I failed, but I learned. And then I can grow from that. So that, I don't know how to tie a bow on this, but I think what I want you to take away is that you figure out what it is you want. Don't ask permission. It's for you. And inevitably, the people in your world that love you will benefit from it. And quite frankly, if you shared it with them, they probably want it for you too. Maybe it's running a marathon, but tell somebody so that then they can help protect that space. And then come up with a plan. And that plan can simply be a piece of loose leaf paper with a whole ton of ideas on how to get there. And then that's when you start to pick out, okay, these actually would move me forward. Because there are a lot of them, and I'd say Pinterest board jokingly, but I know a lot of people that spend a lot of time on Pinterest, yet they're not at their goal yet. So it's, you have to be purposeful in what you're creating for yourself. And you have to be relentless in that pursuit. So you've got to want it, because there are going to be people and there are going to be things that are going to knock you off course. And there are going to be life circumstances that will knock you on your ass. And if you want it bad enough, you still get back up. And Abby, again, you're proof of that. Like you told me in like December, I'm not doing business till March or April. And then I get a text from Abby like 2 weeks ago. Hey, so I'm back in business. I'm like, sure she is. But it's because you want it. You want this life for your family. You want the money that real estate provides for your family and the good that it does for your community. Like there's no shame in that. So that was a whole mouthful. I think the other piece, and just to kind of wrap it up, and then I want you guys to ask questions if you have any, someone recently told me our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And I was like, well, that's dumb. Like, whatever. But then I realized that is my greatest fear, because if I step into my full potential and I don't succeed, I'm scared to death of the people I will let down and the expectations I have then set for myself that I may not continue to hit. We are powerful beyond measure, but we play it safe so often. We don't move into that disruptive space, but those that do, they are Elon Musk. They are, I think, Abby Wambach. Like they're just people who are literally blazing the trail and providing courage for the rest of us. So I love self-help books.
I love that though. It's so nice because sometimes we don't have time to read them all.
No.
So I love hearing.
You don't.
So
and I'll send you guys what I typed out, because I do want you to actually have something to say, okay, here's my goal. Here's where I am. This is the framework to get me there. And then maybe next week on this call, share what you did.
Yeah.
Say, hey, Abby's goal is to do 40 closed units this year. Awesome. Or Abby's goal is to buy a beach house. That is also one of mine. So it then creates accountability and connection. because you're not just waking up and doing the grind,
Mhm.
doing it for a bigger purpose.
Mhm.
So I'll send you all these notes that I did.
No, that's awesome. I also love like this group in particular. I was very vulnerable with you guys last week, and I got super emotional, and I, was like, oh, I'm so sorry, God, like, but then all of a sudden it was, no, this is a safe place. And what's really cool is I met with some people earlier this morning that were asking me, like Gina asked me for follow-up on it. And it's just cool to hear that, because then I was able to celebrate a listing presentation I had, because I lost a listing that was a good friend of mine. And then I gained a listing because I practiced a listing presentation, and I got to celebrate that. But it was like that, what you just said, being vulnerable with each other gets us to, gets us
Well,
to
and
that leap of,
it also forces you to slow down, because
Mhm.
also we're high achievers, we're a high drive. Like, you would have just blown past that without celebrating that you actually got another listing.
Yeah.
But Gina reminded you, like, look where you were last week and where you are now. And I do that often with like when I'm stressed about something, I'll think to myself, okay, this agent or this deal or this situation is keeping me up at night. And then I try to think, so it's Tuesday today, what was I worried about last Tuesday? And so often I can't remember. And it helps put in perspective, like, okay, this feels monumental right now, but next week it probably won't. And that's not always the case, but often with work stuff it is.
Mhm.
Kimmy, I see your hand. Or is she frozen?
First of all, I love all this. Yeah, am I there? Am I good?
Okay,
Kinda.
you're breaking up a little.
You're back. You're back.
Can you hear me now?
Oh no, shucks.
Not well.
Okay.
But
I'll
I'm
talk really
loving the
fast.
sunshine in your friend.
Oh,
Hey, Kimmy, turn off your video. Sometimes that helps if you turn off your video, even though we want to see your beautiful face.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Oh,
Can you hear me now? I keep going out. I'll type it in the box.
Oh, good. Type and drive.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, can we just real quick, everything you said has been so inspirational, but Beth and Kimmy are giving me freaking heart attacks right now. Please don't die while you're on this call.
Yeah. Oh,
Love you,
Lord.
bye.
I think Beth's going to get her Johnny checked out, so that's good.
Get her what checked out?
Johnny. An OBGYN.
Oh, I was like, are you saying
Johnny.
what I think? Okay, but we're vulnerable here, so that's fine. And we all have that, I think. God,
Vulva. I don't know.
that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Oh, Lord. Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying really hard this year to be more purposeful in simplicity, because there's so many distractions, especially in real estate, but through social media, through kids, through relationships, everything is a distraction and everyone's pulling at us in every direction. And so I don't want you to have only one goal. And if having one goal means you accomplish one goal, then have one goal. Because having 5 goals, and I've been there, I'm at 5 goals, and I get to the end of the year and I partially hit all of them. That's not as near as rewarding. All right, what can you say? I had a big ask from someone I thought was unattainable and got such a quick yes. You just have to ask. I think it was funny. You texted me and asked if I would do this, and I was like, sure. And you were back, what? You will? And in my mind, I'm like, why not? But it, like, I don't know. It's so neat. And often it gives that person an opportunity to shine. Like, Zandy, you said something about cleaning the shower. My husband has been stepping up at home too, and he doesn't hate it. Like, he's like, oh, like he does something great at home, and then I say, thank you, this is wonderful, and he likes how that makes him feel. So now I'm telling myself, oh, look, if I go to the grocery, I'm taking an opportunity for my husband to go to the grocery. So there's a
like,
mindset shift there.
thanks so much for that. Like, you could definitely do that in the future too, if you want.
It's so true.
Stroking that ego sometimes.
Yeah, that helps. But in all honesty, so often when I do leverage something, that person does it better than I can. And I know in real estate, especially as agents, we like to do everything ourselves because we know we'll do it the right way. And if you can train someone or teach someone to do it at the same standard that you do, then it frees you up to do more money generating or joyful things than maybe paperwork or something. But a lot of conversations I have with agents, they say, well, I don't want to have an admin do it because they won't do it right. Well, slow down to speed up. Take some time to show that person exactly how they should be doing it, and then they will do it. Because there are things like that that can be leveraged. I think often we want to leverage the things we don't like to do. Like I want to leverage making phone calls because quite frankly, I don't really like to do that. I love coming to events like this, and that's putting me in relationship with people, but I need to be the one to make phone calls because I need to be the one in relationship. What I don't need to do is paperwork, DocuSign. Somebody else can do that. My DNA doesn't need to be in paperwork. And I believe that to be true with agents too. I also understand that you need to get to a level where it financially makes sense for you to pay someone else to do it. So I would never tell someone who's doing a few deals, go get an admin, because you also need to learn how to do that. But I would tell someone who's doing 24 or more units a year, get an admin. You will likely double your business if you leverage the things that can be leveraged. So again, the grocery store, I don't like going to the grocery store. So I like to leverage that, but I don't need to, my point is, don't just leverage things you don't like, because there are some things that need to actually be you, especially in this relationship-based business. And then look at your calendar. Like my coach has me each week, look at my calendar and say, for every event on there, does this bring me joy? Does this bring me money? And is this something only I can do? And if any of those things are no's, does this bring me joy? Sure. Like I said, making phone calls. No, it doesn't bring me joy, but I need to keep that on my calendar because it brings me money and it is something only I can do. But time with my kids, I'm not deleting that because that's something only I am willing to do. And it brings me joy and it does not bring me money. And that's fine. So just look at it through that lens of what's important. I think the last thing's the most important. Is this something only I can do? It does, when you delegate, it does create opportunity for other people, and it gives you time back to do something that's actually more in your magic zone. Now, what you don't want to do, and I think this goes without saying, is delegate and then like go to Target, because then you're just spending money, right? Everywhere. But that's
finding
easy.
the right person too.
Yeah.
I think that's so important.
It is. Yeah. It's getting in business with a person, not, oh Lord, do not hire your friends. I've seen that go sideways 100% of the time, I think. So when I have a friend that gets into real estate and they eventually get to a point where they need to hire an admin and their cousin wants to be an admin, I highly encourage people not to get into business with family or friends. And I do know there are people that own real estate teams and firms that are family, and that works because they grew it together. But it's when you bring someone in and you try to fit them to the position that you need, that it does not go well.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of different personality tests and job descriptions. There's a lot of stuff out there to help you hire correctly when you get to that point, but don't hire out of sympathy or empathy. Oh, my neighbor needs a job. I've been there. And then a month later, I don't like my neighbor, and now we don't have a relationship. She doesn't have a job. We don't spend. I mean, who knows what happens? But it's important to hire. I say don't be flexible on the job description. I'm not going to force Abby into this job description. So then I'm not going to hire Abby. I need the person that fits this job description. So, and I think Abby would probably not enjoy being an admin. So she's a little too high drive for that.
And nobody wants that. I promise.
I love it. Any questions?
Kristen. Yeah, Kristen's got her hand up.
Oh, sorry, Kristen.
No, that's fine. So my question sort of takes us back to like the very beginning, and it's probably a broader conversation and maybe therapy sessions needed. I don't know, but I often struggle with how to get clear about what I want. like I have trouble just starting in terms of goal setting. Once I have goals, I'm all about it, and I'm really good at hitting targets, and I'm driven, and that's like been my career. But I have a really hard time identifying like goals, like what do I want? What do I want from my business? What do I want from my life? So I don't know if you can speak to like how to kind of begin to get clear about what those goals are to begin with.
No, I love that. I think what I would do honestly is go to that bowl of possibility soup and just start writing down what you want your life to look like. Like a year from now, if you and I sat down on New Year's Eve this year, December 31st, and you said, Hannah, I just had my best 12 months ever. What happened? What had to happen for you to be able to tell me that in integrity with yourself? Did you buy a beach house? Did you take a month off this summer? Like, what happened for you to say this was my best year? Did you net $350,000? Write that down and then go back to it. Maybe get up, take a walk, whatever, go back to it and start to circle what really, really is important. Because again, you can't be all things to all people and accomplish all goals ever created. But somewhere in that bowl of possibility soup, you'll find, wait, this really is important. I need this for this year to be my best year, or I want this. Like, I know it sounds selfish or whatever, but I want a beach house so bad on Sullivan's Island that I will get one. But that just is self-serving. Granted, I'm going to invite my friends and family, but I'm not now ashamed to say that. Used to, I was like, oh, that's selfish. I should probably do something more philanthropic. I just want a goddamn beach house. And so I know now what I need to do to net enough money to buy this house. So I'm on my way, but it wasn't until I stopped asking for permission and I just decided this is the one thing I want. So I think write down everything that would make this year the best thing ever, and then decide what's going to create the most impact in making this year the best year ever. And go, yeah, I mean, you could even, no, don't do that. Just do the bowl of possibility soup. Just write everything on a piece of paper and then pick, I would say pick 3 things and then pick one.
Yeah, discovering your why, I feel like is difficult.
It is. Well, and you want it to be your kids or your, like, I found myself in this space where I'm like, quite honestly, and you guys may be the same, my kids are going to be fine whether I work or not. Like my parents would help or what. There are people in my world that will take care of my kids, whether I show up to work or not and make money. So I want them to be my big why. And I find myself not, I don't know if I should say this, but I'm not motivated by them. I want to show up as a great mom, but I'm not professionally motivated in that if I make more money, my kids are going to be so happy. No, they don't give a shit. Like, right? Like, they just want to play on the floor and they don't care what floor it is. If it has, you know, $10,000 tile or if it's an IKEA rug. So my kids aren't my why. And I never said that out loud, but I show up because I want to model a fulfilled life and a happy life for my kids. And I'm in a space right now where I don't know what my why is. I know what my goals are, but I don't know why I do what I do outside of like today I created impact for women. That makes me so excited. And maybe that's my why, but it seems so general. I don't know. I think a lot of people quickly say my kids are my why, my family's my why. But if that doesn't get you out of bed and excited to do all the hard things that inevitably come with finding big success, then that's not your why. There's something deeper.
Yeah. Isn't there a book, you guys, about like peeling back the onion? Yeah. Yeah. About the whys and all of that. But yeah, I have a why that my husband disagrees with. So that's fun. Like, I want to retire him from police work. Like I want to, but he doesn't want to be retired. So I want to make enough money that he could choose, really. And that's the nicer way to probably say it. And I want you off the road. Yeah. But yeah, that why has to motivate you.
Mm-hmm. My one thing I've thought about is I don't want to have to tell my kids no because of financial constraints. I will choose to tell them no because I don't want them to grow up
entitled,
completely entitled, but I don't want to have to tell them no. And I think that's one reason, in a sense, they are my why in wanting to grow wealth, because I don't want to have to say no, but I will choose to say no. I'm not going to take them to Disney every weekend, but I might take them when they're 7 and I'll be able to afford it, you know? So I think there's that, like, it's now you've got me thinking, what is my why? This Corey does this. It's all about questions, but And I think actually now that I say that out loud, your why changes. At one point, my why was to help my brother get through recovery. And he's now like 10, 12 years out. That's not my why anymore. He's got a life, he's got a wife and kids, and he's good. But that, I think we spend a lot of time, Kristen, like trying to get our why perfect before we actually start. Just start. Stop thinking and fly. I have that written on my wall in my office. I'm like, because I'm the queen of getting ready to get ready. And one of my business partners, Kim Winters, who is just amazing, early on in our relationship, she said, Hannah, done is better than perfect. And I was like, oh, for the love of God, how did I make it this far in life without knowing that? But she's right. Like, I wanted this to be typed up for this call today, and I didn't get it typed up. And actually we've been great, but I was like, oh, I didn't get it typed before I came here, but it's done, and it's better than perfectly typed. So try to find success in the simplicity of, and just starting. And don't say, I'm going to start Sunday, whether it's a diet or a goal. I'm going to start Sunday, or I'm going to start Friday night. Start right now. What is one step you can do right now? Kristen, you can hang up from this phone call and write out everything you want to make this year the best year ever. And then pick 3 things and text it to Corey before 5 o'clock. Like, you could do all that. And then you're not like, oh, I got to get my work done and turn on some music, and I've got to get everything settled in the house. No, just do it. So there's that. How long do we, what time is it?
3:50.
Oh, okay.
Does anybody have any more questions? Gina, wasn't it you that had the word bold? Is that this year? And do you mind sharing like where that comes from? And
yeah, because I feel like I do everything to a point. Like, like I don't have trouble starting, and I don't have trouble making goals. And I always set goals every year, but I just don't know why. Sometimes I'm just maybe not bold enough. And I don't mean that because I'm very direct. It isn't that. It's more being bolder sometimes. And so that's one of my words. And connection was my second word, really, because now that things have shifted in not just real estate, but our office, it's like connection's going to be even more important. And so like going this morning and I had to show houses. So I would have been there today. I would have loved to have been there, but connection is really, the other thing. So bold and connection are the things I'm focusing on, which really is a lot of things, but that was it, because I know that sometimes it's just like you get to that point and I don't know what it is. So I'm focusing on that.
I think, and not to belittle the work you do up until that stopping point, but I think a lot of people stop because then it gets to be really hard.
Yes.
So what can you put in your environment or in your world that's going to push you through that hard spot? And it might simply be the accountability on this phone call. Like what is one project or goal that you're focused on right now that you're stuck? You've hit a ceiling, or maybe you haven't even mapped it out yet, but so many humans stop halfway through or 1 month into their New Year's resolution. It's because that's when it starts to get hard.
Sure. I also fall into that camp of like, oh, I don't need an assistant, I do it better. Like that would be another example. Like, it would be bold to hire an assistant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because I do feel like, well, it would be twice as hard because I could just do it once myself in less the time than trying to make sure someone else does, and I know that that's malarkey, really. Ultimately, if I wanted to do more transactions or more money, it's going to have to take that. So yeah, it's not, yeah, totally. Because that is a hard decision to make.
Part of it is because then someone's dependent on your income because it's their income, and it is scary, but your shoulders are only so wide. So whatever you've done up until this point is probably what you can do as an individual person. And I would argue that bringing on someone, the right person, would force you to create a bigger world for yourself. Correct. Because you want to be able to create a big enough world for that person.
Right. It does push you, for sure.
And it's scary as hell.
For sure. Yeah.
Because at first you do go into it, I think I do, with a scarcity mindset. I'm like, oh, this is money out the door. Oh, this is money out the door. Because it is a bit in the beginning. Then if you're purposeful with the time you got back, you should be seeing more deals and more money come in. But that first plunge, especially in your first hire,
I will share too with everybody. I recently started doing this and it's really tough for me because I would give all my money away. I think you all know that. But I hired a TC, you know, and someone that already has the structure and the bones, and that's been really good. But I have put on my buyer's consultations and my listing presentations to make them, my clients, pay for it. And it feels really icky to me, but I literally did a budget and realized that I'm spending $1,000 for buyers and sellers right now. And that's insane.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need to get some of that back. And you know what? People didn't bat an eye. I was like, wow.
Interesting.
It was just, it blew my mind because it's not normal, but I mean, it is norm. I've heard a lot of, now that I've started to talk about it, I've heard a lot of realtors do it. And that makes me a little more settled. And then that gives me more opportunity to negotiate and learn for my clients too.
I think another thing like that, that's just asking for what you want and what you need. And that's important. I put on my voicemail, and this is a little different for agents, but it says, if you've reached me after 5 o'clock, that's time reserved for my family and I'll be in touch the next business day. There are agents that have done the same thing, and they say, unless this is in regards to an offer, in which case text me. You can't believe the number of people that are like, they start the message, Hannah, I love your voicemail. I have had so much applause over that. And I was so hesitant to do it because I was like, oh, but then they're going to think I'm not accessible and they're going to be upset with me. So many people respect those boundaries. And I think that's a little different than what you're doing, but it's just asking for what you need and what you want. And gotta do more of that.
Yeah, we really do.
I'll say I've started reserving Sundays, which like, God forbid a real estate agent not work on the weekend. And I get more respect. I get more, not only my time back, but my agents or my clients think more highly of me because I don't just bend over backwards for everybody. And I think it reflects that I won't bend over backwards to get a deal done that's not in my buyer's best interest. You know, like, look, I set boundaries, but I'm also going to set boundaries for you too. And those are going to be that we're going to get you this 20 grand or whatever it is, you know, like there's
So
respect.
I was surprised by that too, Abby. I was. I don't show. I've actually only shown houses twice on Sunday, 2 times, only twice, and put both those properties under contract because I knew that it was the situation that if I took that Sunday morning, it better damn well be worth it. Because I have told I will not show on Sunday. That is 100% family time.
Well, and I challenge everybody to be like, do you have to tell them that you're taking Sunday off? Do you have to tell them that you're off on Sunday? I mean, I know you're speaking your boundary, but honestly, I've got clients this weekend where, and I really don't, or sometimes I do, but
correct. It's not available.
It's my family, it's my family time and they don't have to know, or I'm not available.
Can you even take that positive and not even suggest that Sunday's an option? You're like, hey, I'm available on Monday.
That's right.
Yeah. Why even say no in the first place?
I don't tell nothing.
Why even say, oh, I don't work on Sunday. And said,
right.
I've got some great time for you on Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even tell clients when I'm out of town. They don't even know. I'm just not available.
Yeah.
I'm not available on those days. I don't sell any. And I always say, and actually it was Susan who said this too. I always say, I have an appointment. I'm not available. They don't know. It's dinner with my family, but they don't need to know that. And she said, it makes you sound busier. And I was like, gosh, I never really even thought about that. They don't know what I'm doing. I just always say, I didn't start doing that till last year. And boy, I will never stop.
Yeah. It's so good.
I do think it creates a higher level of respect. I think that's very, very true. Awesome. Okay, ladies.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This was great.
And it was great to see you. Thank you.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
Got a lot out of this.
Good. Thank you, Kimmy. Drop set. Keep your hands on the wheel.